All right, let's continue this 49ers cut down talk with the offensive line. But first, I'm at a really cool spot. Do you see that behind me? That used to be a statue. It's just the base of it now. The Triumph of Light. Where I'm standing, and this might remind you a lot of the Faded Glory video I did at Candlestick Park when I went out back to the site last year before the 49ers played the Cowboys in the playoffs. Where I'm standing is true San Francisco Faded Glory. This is the geographic center of the city. 49 square miles. This is the geographic center. And back in the 1870s, they built this gigantic statue called the Triumph of Light that overlooked the whole city. Ultimately, it got swallowed up by houses, by trees, by all this stuff, but you still have a epic view. And you can see all the way back to downtown this way. Anyway, 49ers offensive line. I'm on my little scavenger hunt here. You can guess where I'm going to go next in the comment section, but I think that this is a fun thing to do right now while we talk about the different position groups that just made the 53-man roster. O-line, left to right. Starting O-line, no surprises. Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, and Colton McKivitz. The 49ers ended up going with 2 swing tackles. They're not really swing tackles, just depth pieces at that tackle position. And they are Jalen Moore, who will fill in for Trent Williams on the left side of the 49ers need that, and Matt Pryor, who's going to fill in on the right side for Colton McKivitz if the 49ers need that. I will say this, Pryor is the biggest tackle the 49ers have had, just sheer mass. And normally, in the past, we had talked about this 49ers team being really big on having those nimble, lighter tackles for outside zone. Well, wide zone is not the only thing the 49ers run now. They're going a lot more gap scheme, power stuff, and they're also putting a bigger emphasis on pass protection. The hope is that Colton McKivitz will be better in that regard than Mike McGlinchey. And with that being an emphasis, the 49ers are looking for a little bit more heft, guys that can anchor in that pass blocking. And I think that Matt Pryor has actually been good throughout this training camp. I will say also, it looks like he's gotten in better and better shape as time has gone along. Came in maybe a little bit heavy, but he has gotten used to the 49ers system, their difficult practices, and Matt Pryor's made the team. So not really efficient to go with 2 swing tackles, but Matt Pryor hasn't been comfortable playing on the left side, and I think Jalen Moore's more comfortable playing on the left than the right, so they've got 2 of those guys. Then the top interior backup is John Feliciano. Feliciano is the starting center last year for the Giants. He's played guard in his NFL career. He's played a little bit of tackle too, but I wouldn't expect John Feliciano to play tackle for the 49ers. He'll be the first player off the bench, though, if this team does need somebody to fill in at left guard, at center, or at right guard. That's John Feliciano. Then everybody's wondering, why'd they take Nick Zakelj, second-year man out of Fordham, Brock Purdy's roommate? Well, Zakelj, they really liked the strides he made physically this offseason. He was close to 320, a little pudgy as a rookie. Cut it down to 305 this offseason. Just more chiseled, has really done a good job with his body. Obviously had some procedural penalties in the preseason. Got moved a little bit in the preseason. Wasn't great, but they took Nick Zakelj as a 9th developmental offensive lineman. And the reason why they took him is because there is a lack of quality offensive linemen, ascending offensive linemen around the whole NFL. And the 49ers would have risked Nick Zakelj getting scooped up by somebody else because word of his improvement physically had already gotten around the rest of the league. So they didn't want to lose Nick Zakelj to waivers elsewhere. They think they can develop him into a good, versatile guy that can play all 3 positions on the inside, maybe even a center at some point in the future. They really like his brain. He's a smart guy. He outworks you mentally. I wrote a piece about Nick Zakelj after the 49ers drafted him in the 6th round last year. So they decided to keep him on the 53-man so they wouldn't lose him. The development will continue. But listen, John Feliciano is going to be the first interior offensive lineman off the bench for the 49ers. A lot of people wondering, okay, why didn't they take Il Manning? Why didn't they take Jason Poe? Well, I mean, Nick Zakelj physically is a guy who, meets the standards at the NFL level that you would expect. Both Il Manning and Jason Poe, I mean, these guys are underdogs. These guys are long shots. They're great for your practice squad. You want to develop players like that to develop into, substantive offensive linemen. But let's face it, Il Manning is 6'2". He worked against third teamers at left tackle, and I was the one that first brought attention to him, right? Made a video about Ilm Manning, then everybody started talking about Ilm Manning. 6'2", playing well at tackle. Great story. Really good for the 49ers practice squad, but you can't expect that kind of player to immediately make a 53-man roster. So the 49ers are banking that other teams are going to feel the same way. They're going to be able to keep Ilm on their practice squad, develop him into a guard probably, even though he worked at tackle due to necessity this camp. And then in the future, he could be a Daniel Brunskill type. An offensive lineman who can play anywhere, who can defeat the odds. But it took Brunskill a while to emerge, to develop. He had to go through the Alliance of American Football to do that. So I think similar story here for Ilm Manning. It might take him a little bit to develop. 49ers hope they can do it on the practice squad because he is tremendously quick. Same with Jason Poe. Tremendous quickness, short arms. Tough to make it on an NFL offensive line with shorter arms, but with Jason Poe, you can give him another year on the practice squad. Plus, I mean, at some point, Jason Poe is going to get the football in his hands. Kyle Shanahan can use it as a trick play. He could disguise it. The guy runs a 4.8, 4.9 40. Played some fullback in college, right? He was at Mercer and Lenore Ryan. Jason Poe's got a skill set that is something that it could be a feather in your cap. You could use that at some level of an NFL game. And I guarantee it, if Jason Poe stays around long enough and then finds his way onto a game day roster for the 49ers, at some point he's going to touch the football. He's going to wow people. His college tape, him catching passes out of the backfield. He ran that workout tape to get to really showcase his mobility. I think everybody said he's probably going to be an offensive lineman, but don't put it past Shanahan and his ability to be creative to get Jason Poe on that roster. Big picture, this 49ers offensive line, I think, can be better in pass protection than last season's unit was, because I think Colton McKivitz can be better than Mike McGlinchey in pass protection. That's what, I don't think it's a big gamble, but I think that's what the 49ers thought process is. It would have been a big gamble to re-sign McGlinchey at money that the 49ers couldn't afford, right? McKivitz costs a whole lot less, only a couple million per year. I think the cap hit this year is under $2 million. So with Colton McKivitz, you're probably going to take a step down in the run game, but pass blocking has become a bigger and bigger emphasis for the 49ers. And I think Colton McKivitz can give the 49ers a step forward in that direction up front. Now remember, the left guard, the center, and the right guard, Banks, Brendel, Burford, the law firm, they were all first-year starters last year. They've now played together for an entire season. So I think you can expect a step up in that regard. Left tackle, well, Trent Williams, he obviously made the team. Age 35. Can Trent keep it up? Well, 49ers hope that he can for at least one more season. They've got a first-round draft pick again next year. Maybe that's the time that you think about taking a tackle. All right, one more look. Mount Olympus, geographic center of San Francisco. You can guess where I'm going next. Everybody take care.